All right, so for those of you who don't know me again, my name is Shoshana Chaim. I am the co-host of the Plant Trainers podcast along with Adam, and we are helping you to improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness. We are interviewing the leading experts. And when I talk about the leading experts, I talk about Dr. Greger, Dr. Davis, Dr. Esselstyn, amazing Dr. Khan, amazing doctors that we've had on, amazing researchers, amazing fitness experts, helping you to really make those changes in life that you want to be changing. Whether it's on the vegan side, we've had a lot of great vegans on like Victoria Moran and so many others, and we've had amazing plant-based advocates. And today we're going to be talking all about vegan, plant-based. What's the difference? What is this debate that we have going on? So basically what I would like to do right now is I would love to shoot the poop with you. I want to shoot the poop today, and today we are going to be talking about vegan versus plant-based. And I did post it on, I'm just looking here because I have some notes that I wanted to read, because I did post vegan versus plant-based on our Instagram account at Plant Trainers and on Facebook, and we got some really great comments coming back in that I wanted to discuss. So Molly said she focuses on eating plant-based, not necessarily vegan, but she's more aware of the impact that she's making in the rest of the world. And we're going to talk about that because that seems to go hand in hand. Plant Munch or Maria said it's a matter of diet versus ethical issues. So diet for plant-based, ethical issues for vegan. Some vegans happen to be plant-based as well, like herself. Sugar McGee said she's about 90% plant-based because when she eats out, there's those plant-based cheeses and stuff like that that are in the food. So she doesn't consider that plant-based, and we're going to talk about that as well. Indian Rock said that it's totally possible to be both, and absolutely you can be. And Small Town Herbivore said plant-based should go vegan because the easy part is already out of the way. And I thought that that was really interesting because if you've changed your diet, then it's easier to change everything else. But for some people, yes, that is the hardest part, changing the foods that you eat every single day. But for other people, changing your whole rest of your lifestyle and the clothes that you wear and everything else that goes with it's an ideology, it's a way that you think, it's a philosophy. So maybe that's the harder part, and that was something quite interesting as well. And we could come back to these in the end. But basically what I first want to say is when we put out this post, it said plant-based versus vegan, or vegan versus plant-based. But why does it have to be versus? When we choose vocabulary, we need to choose vocabulary so carefully. I chose the word versus because I wanted to see if anybody was going to say, how come this is a battle, right? Before my son understood how to use vocabulary properly, he basically said, who's versing the Canadians tonight? We're like, dude, that's not really a verb. It doesn't really work that way. But he wanted to know who was playing, like who were they competing against? And plant-based and vegan does not have to be a competition. It doesn't have to be knocking heads. It doesn't have to be, it's two different ideologies, or philosophies or sciences, but they can go together hand in hand as well. So it does not have to be a battle. And that's really the first thing that I wanted to say. I wanted to see who was going to pick up on that. And if you are watching, please feel free to interact. Please feel free to say hello, wave, and let me know any of the comments that you have. So, coming down, let's first look at, is the difference really subtle, or is it really super duper? And one of the people on our team who's really just learning about all of this plant-based stuff said, well, it's pretty subtle. But you know what? I really don't think that it is that subtle. And of course, when we say think, those are things that we feel with emotion or that we've made up in our head. It's not necessarily a science behind it. But I really don't think that it is that subtle because it really does encompass everything that you do, every decision that you make. Is going to change when you're vegan. Every decision that you make when you're plant-based might not change or might not change in the same way. So, let's start to look at those labels. Ding, ding, ding. There's another red flag, right? The word label. So the word label, people don't like to label things. Why do you need to put a label on it? Why do you need to be anything? Why can't you just be? But the truth of the matter is that we do label things. We are labeling things all the time. Right? We're labeling what a room is for, if a bathroom is male or female. We're labeling what we do as work, if we're what kind of professional we are. Are we a teacher? Are we a lawyer? Are we, are we in the service industry? We're constantly giving labels, and labels can be bad if the connotation is bad. And we go like, hey, you're a lawyer. Like, that label's bad, but oh, nice, you're a lawyer. That sounds a lot better too. So depending on how we stick a label, if as a teacher, we would have said, that child, he's ADD, right? Like, or if we say that child's ADD, what wonderful new skills they are going to bring to the table, how they're challenging me, it's so wonderful. Depending on how we use that label is really going to depend on how the situation plays out. So why do we want a label in this situation? Well, because people like community. People like to feel part of something. They like to feel accountable. And sometimes we just need rules. It's really easy. A lot of us have become plant-based or vegan because we've gotten into trouble in the first place. Our health got into trouble, or we were abusing ourselves, or we were abusing others, or we were abusing animals, or we were abusing alcohol, or what have you. And we've changed our lives. We've changed our lives for whatever reason. And sometimes we need rules to stay within the means that we want to. Sometimes we need rules to be able to follow the guidelines, to be able to stick within that label, and we want to be part of that label. Yes, you could absolutely just be you, but still we all want to identify with somebody. So who do we identify with? That's what's really important. That's what we really want to know. And if you see me looking in two different places, it's because I got Instagram Live down here and I've got Facebook Live up here. So be sure to follow us on both of those stations. And maybe if you'd like this, maybe we'll stick this on our IGTV. We have a new IGTV channel out, and Adam was just on it yesterday talking about lentils. He had a little bit of an upset, and you're gonna want to check that video out on the IGTV. I want to say hi to Joy and hi to Bonnie and Plant Munch and all of these Yerville and Mirguza and destroying something. I don't know what you're destroying. I hope it's nothing good. So hello to everybody over here on Instagram as well. So labels are really important. That's what I was talking about, because we need to feel like a community. And so many people who reach out and say, hey, I need some guidance, I need some coaching, because I'm all alone here. I'm all alone in my city. There's nobody else here who's plant-based. There's nobody else here who's vegan. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to shop. I want to be accountable. And then they hire me to become accountable. That's because they want community. They want to have that label. They want to be able to fit in with people. And it's okay to be plant-based and then veer off 10% of the time. It's okay to be vegan and only find out 3 months in that honey really wasn't something that you should have been eating anyway. We just need to feel a part of something, like we're doing something better. And I think that that is a similarity, that's a commonality between being plant-based and being vegan. So let's get into it. What is vegan and what is plant-based? Vegan can include your diet, right? The foods that you eat. You're not eating meat, poultry, dairy, fish, right? You're not eating eggs. You're not eating any of those, but you are eating anything else. No honey, nothing that exploits any animals to create that food. Hopefully not excluding, hopefully it's not, having any bad effects on humans as well, exploiting humans as well. When we look at plant-based, we're really just looking more or less at diet. We can call them both lifestyles. And I was just having this conversation the other day with my friend Bill Psycholic running the parks. And we were saying how the word lifestyle is being really, really overused these days. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. But you know what? It is a diet, because we need to just define diet properly. Diets are the foods that a diet is the foods that we're putting into our mouth, that we're putting into our body. A diet doesn't have to be going on a diet for a short period of time. These are long-term life diets. What is the lifestyle around plant-based? Some people could say it's running, it's triathlon, but there are plenty of plant-based people out there, and I'm sure that you could give me a wave right now, who don't do any exercise at all, right? Exercise is just not part of their life. So when we talk about a plant-based lifestyle, it doesn't necessarily include all of these other aspects, but it really does include looking at the science of plant-based nutrition or nutrition, which then points to plant-based nutrition. Therefore, we are eating a plant-based diet in order to be our very best selves, in order to be our healthiest selves, in order to strive and really just be the best version of the healthiest selves that we could be. We're coming from a place of abundance. We don't necessarily concentrate on what we can't eat. We're eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains. That's what we're eating. We're looking into what we are eating, and we're doing it for health. When we look at the vegan diet, some people could say we just look at what we can't eat. But at the same time, are vegans negative? No, they're not really negative. It's not coming from a place of what you're missing out on, but it's a whole different thinking process, right? We're thinking about being kind to animals, that animals have feelings too, that the world is being diminished at our fingertips because of paper, because of clothing, because of food that we're eating, the fact that we're using more land to grow food for the animals to eat, for us to then eat the animals. Look at all the land that we're using up, all of the marshland that we're destroying, all of the rainforest that we're destroying. Those are the kinds of things that vegans are thinking about on a regular basis when they're putting food in their mouth, but not just when they're putting food in their mouth, when they're putting clothes on their body, when they are putting cosmetics on their skin. Have animals been exploited to create these things that are supposedly making our lives better? And what is the grand consequence? What is the consequence for everybody all around? So when we look at plant-based, we're looking at it from a scientific point of view. What is healthiest for us to put in our bodies, for us to be with less disease, less inflammation, less pain, and thrive? And when we look at a vegan diet, we're looking a little bit more global of who else are we hurting to create this? This leather jacket, I used to think that the leather used to come from the animals that were being eaten, but it's not. It's two different sets of animals. And then there are men who are walking into chemicals to clean the leather, to be able to create the leather for our leather jackets and our leather purses, and they're losing their legs because of it. That's not very vegan. That's not very vegan at all. So it's a higher thinking. But as you become plant-based and you're watching documentaries and you're reading articles and you're seeing videos, there's so much mesh and overlap between the vegan and the plant-based world that you can't help start thinking about the impact that you're making on the rest of the world. Just like Molly said, she focuses on eating plant-based, but they're not vegan, but they're more aware of their impact. And as you go, you're going to find that you're going to be more and more aware of your impact. And although you might not associate with being vegan, you're actually living a vegan lifestyle. What vegan lifestyle is doing the best that you can within the circumstances that you have to be able to live the most compassionate life for other beings, right? So, you might not want to put as much plastic into the earth, or you might stop buying purses that are leather, but only running shoes that are leather. That's still vegan. That's still part of the vegan lifestyle, even if you don't associate or choose that label of being vegan. So you can choose not to take the labels, but usually you'll choose one label. So for us in our house, we're much more plant-based, but I would say that we are plant-based vegans at this point. Our kids keep saying, are we vegan? Aren't we vegan? Because we keep changing it around, like what's going on. But the number one for us is us. If we're not healthy, we can't do our part in helping to save the world. If we're not at our top energy, we can't get the message out. We can't use the Plant Trainers podcast to voice other amazing vegans or other amazing plant-based people to get the message out. If we're not at our very best, we're not going to want to cook, the healthiest meals for ourselves. We're going to want to do what's easy. And what effect does that have on the rest of the world and globally? So we want to really make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, number one, and ourselves first. We want, and I think that at the end of the day, we're all going to end up striving for a healthier world. If we look at the way that this world is going right now and how the impact of our choices as a whole community, as a whole world community or even North America itself, Europe next, Australia, right? If we look at the impact that we're having on the rest of the world, we're going into a really, really unhealthy place for us, for the world, and we really need to change that around. So when you think of that vegan ideology, vegan philosophy, it's all areas of life. And for plant-based, we normally start off there, but then other parts of that vegan world really start to drip in. But then you can look at, plant-based overall, and you could say, well, there's plant-based, there's whole food plant-based, there's no oil, there's no sugar, there's raw, there's the McDougall way, there's the McGregor way, not McGregor, the McDougall way, the Dr. Greger way, the Esselstyn way. Dr. Jenkins, who we just interviewed this week, whose show is going to be coming out on the Plant Trainers podcast in just a couple of weeks. He's the creator of the glycemic index. All of those doctors have, although they overlap within the plant-based lifestyle, they also have very different protocols, very different ways of saying, okay, if you want to live your absolute healthiest life, this is the way it goes. Now, the research is saying 100% plant-based. We know that that research shows that that's where you're going to, have the best chance at preventing cancer, preventing heart disease, preventing Alzheimer's and dementias, preventing all of these other inflammatory diseases, autoimmune diseases. But if you really want to be your optimal self, so then you have Greger with his daily dozen, you have McDougall with all of the starches, you have Esselstyn with very low fat, you have Jenkins who is pro-processed soy, but he's the one that created the glycemic index. So we're looking at glycemic index and the bread index. So there's all of these different ways of living your life within that, just to complicate things. There's raw vegan, right? Just to complicate things. But at the end of the day, we do know that eliminating as many animal products from your diet as possible is going to be the best philosophy for you, be the best philosophy for the world, have really good karma. But then when you start to look at the science of it, it is actually going to be what is healthiest for your insides and give your body the best chance at thriving. So when we look at coming all back around to plant-based versus vegan, it's not a versus. It's not a versus. It's plant-based and vegan. And what side of the scale are you weighing more on today? And how can you find more of a balance between the two? Because if vegans are going to eat a lot of processed vegan foods, a lot of foods that are vegan by accident, like Oreos or, I don't know, maybe Doritos that aren't cheese flavor. I have no idea because I don't eat those. But if you're going to look at a lot of the junk foods that are vegan by accident, you're going to eat processed burgers all the time that are vegan, and you're going to eat processed mayonnaise all the time that's vegan, you're not going to be very healthy inside, and you're going to eventually need to make a difference, because if your health is not here, you can't do all that advocacy work for the rest of the world. And there is a lot of advocacy work that goes into being vegan, but there's also a ton of advocacy work that goes to being plant-based. People are constantly posting their food. People are constantly talking to other people about their health. People are constantly trying to get other people on board with a plant-based diet. So, when we look, you could look at some really pictures of really crazy, angry vegans, with rallies and throwing ketchup or mustard or fake blood or what have you. Yeah, those kinds of things happen, but that's a pocket of it. People who go to vigils, yeah, that happens. That's a pocket of it. People who just talk to their friends until their friends don't want to be friends with them anymore, that's just a pocket of it. But there's so many. All those people are nice people. All those people are just trying to do the best that they can. Just like plant-based people are posting pictures of their food. They are telling other people the science. They are reposting podcasts and articles and checking out websites and emailing things to their friends, because we're all advocates. We are all little yesers. We're all people who are saying, yes, this is the way to be, and this is how it's got to be done, and I want other people to know more about it. So, it's not just vegans who are out there, saying, hey, listen to us. It's the plant-based world too. I think the vegan world, because it's a little bit older and there have been some personalities that are extremely harsh, it's gotten a bad rap. I don't think it deserves the bad rap that it has all the time. But then again, when you're labeling, a lot of people don't want to be associated with that label too. All right, so let me see. So we had Molly, who was there. We had Plant Munch, who said diet, ethical issues. Some vegans happen to be plant-based. The 90% eating out, right? So, when you look at plant-based, you can eat some processed foods in a regular plant-based diet. When you start to go into whole food plant-based, you want your foods to be whole all the time, not processed down. And I'm not talking about your blender or your Cuisinart. I'm talking about completely processed down and soy isolate and all those other things. You can eat that in a plant-based diet from time to time, I think. I think if you're 90% whole foods, and then 10% when you're eating out in restaurants, or the occasional, grilled cheese at home, then that's okay too. There's no oil. There's, all these different things. So plant-based people should go vegan because the easy part is already out of the way. So I don't know how easy it is. And I do agree with that to some extent. And, for me, the easy part is the food. I mean, it wasn't at the beginning, but now that's the easy part. But if you would have told me, and you have to give up all your leather purses and all your leather jackets and, all your honey, and you need to choose the paper from the company that only does recycled paper and not the company that's doing anything that's new paper, and do all of these things. All of those things are really, really hard to do too. So the truth is, it's just about doing the best that you can. And I do think small town herbivore, that a lot of plant-based people are getting there. They just need to get there in their own time. And a lot of people are becoming plant-based for the necessity of their health issues at this time, or their fear of their health issues going to where other family members have been. And like I said, first of all, take care of yourself. And the last one was Rookie Vegan Journey said, there's so much to learn. She didn't even realize that there was a difference between plant-based and vegan. And you may not have even realized that there was a difference between plant-based and vegan as well. But I do want to say thank you so much for listening today. I'm grateful that you wanted to learn more about the difference between plant-based and vegan, where they overlap, where there are actual differences, and how they are really seeping in to each other. And there is a lot to learn, but all you need to do is do the very best that you can do in that day, and try to take more steps forward than you take back, because we've all taken steps backwards. And as long as your momentum is generally going forward, you're okay. And if you're really lost and complicated in the system, or you don't really know where to go, or you don't know if this is the right move for you, then reach out and let me know, and I will hop on the phone with you and try to see how I can be of assistance in that area. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm going to be on next week. But we're not going to be putting out the little advertisement saying, hey, this is what we're talking about this week. I think I'm going to rethink it a little bit, and maybe it'll just be like the Plant Trainers Chat or Ask Shush or something like that. And I'll be out here doing some kind of informal Facebook Live. And I do hope that you will look for that and that you will join us, but always make sure that you go back and look for the replay. Share this out, everybody. Make sure that you subscribe to the Plant Trainers podcast. Have a good day. Bye-bye.